Tina Betz,
Hey, Miss Sharon Baker.
Director of the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs and curator of the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival. Just wow. A big event in Wilmington. And I suspect people come from Philly, Baltimore, and,
Yeah,
environs.
and Europe and
Wow.
and all over the place. I mean, this is the festival is recognized and respected world round. Of course, most of the people do come from the Mid-Atlantic region, and of course, and other states outside of the Mid-Atlantic region. But we get a healthy influx of visitors from Europe and other continents and countries. So yeah.
Sure. Let's start off with a little refresher of just who Clifford Brown was. Sadly, uh, killed at the young age of 25 in a car crash. But help us understand who he was.
When you do research about Clifford Brown, I think one of the things that I still find just extremely impactful is that he was only on the scene for a few years. He died at 25, as you said, so he was very, very young. It's a tragic car accident, unexpected, of course. And he had only been around a few years, but he became so respected and made such an impression on the people who worked with him, who interacted with him, who taught him, that he's become legend in just a short time. I mean, that's very rare. That you have somebody who, so many years later, still, the ripple effect of his living is still happening. It's
And
still
they
happening.
call him the greatest trumpeter of his generation.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Well, listen, I only know what people tell me who worked with him before him and who studied, music in a way that I don't. I enjoy it and listen to what I like, but there are people who are really into it. And not only do people say that he was the greatest trumpeter of his generation, I've heard people say he was the greatest trumpeter of all time. I've heard other trumpet players talk about his greatness. And that comes, I think, not just from his playing, Sharon, but also because he was respected for so many different reasons: his talent, but also his personality, the fact that he lived a clean life. He did not get into drugs and alcohol and all of those things, that traps that many musicians fall into. And he was studious in a way that, he just went for perfection, but perfection that didn't box him into, squeeze his creativity in a way that didn't make a difference.
I think people are born with that kind of genius. I really do.
I think so too. But, some people are born with it and never utilize it for whatever reason. Maybe they weren't recognized by, people who saw in them and then therefore gave them the support they needed, to reach their full potential, or they just didn't have the internal drive. I mean, there are some people who just have everything it takes to become the type of icon that Clifford Brown has become.
Sure. Well, let's jump to the annual event. Now, it's 4 nights. Talk just overview, if you will, the kinds of performance. And I know there's a very special and unique element this year that will be taking place at the theater company.
Yes, the festival in Ride Square, the main stage performances take place Wednesday, June 21st through Saturday, June 24th. And the best way to get information about who's playing would be to go to the Clifford Brown Jazz Fest.org website. We have a very special performance that will happen on Tuesday, June 20th. That's the night before the festival kicks off in Ride Square, down at the Delaware Theater Company. Thank you, Delaware Theater Company, for hosting this event. Leon Von Brown, who is the nephew of Clifford Brown, is a choreographer who has worked with, some of the greatest names that are on the scene today. has choreographed a piece to his uncle's Yesterdays. And it will be a Delaware premiere at the Delaware Theater Company, June 20th at 7:30 is when we will kick it off. And leading into this Leon Von Brown's premiere piece will be the Boysie-Lowery Living Jazz Residency Ensemble, one of three of the ensembles.
Now, Boysie-Lowery was his
Clifford Brown's teacher. He taught Clifford Brown. So that's why we have the Boysie-Lowery Living Jazz Residency as the education component of the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival. So on the 20th, folks, it is free to the public. There will be a registration. Go online and find out, how to do that. But it is open and free to the public. And we'll have the Boysie-Lowery Ensemble, this premiere of a dance piece, and then a Q&A following the performance with Leon Von Brown and the director of the Boysie-Lowery Living Jazz Residency and the students.
The diversity of the lineup is, I'll use that overused word, awesome. I mean, when you look at it, can you just give us a couple highlights?
Yeah, it is diverse. And if, anybody who has studied jazz, and especially the history of jazz, you can see the evolution and the diversity through the evolution, where it's come, the different phases of jazz. And that's what we try to reproduce at this jazz festival. I mean, there are some people who are, straight ahead folks, and they'll take a look at an artist like a Kim, who will be performing on Friday night and say, well, he's not jazz, he's R&B. It's like, well, yeah, you know what? He probably would even say that he fits more neatly, if you're going to be put into a box, into that R&B box. But jazz is influenced by all genres.
Right. So much of it takes its roots in jazz.
Absolutely.
Takes its roots in gospel.
Exactly. One of the things we try to do with this jazz festival is to explore the diversity of jazz and how it has affected other, genres of music like R&B, like rap, just all over the board. And what we don't do with this festival is put jazz into a box, put it on a lid where it will smother. I mean, part of, this whole idea of art, period, and, which includes jazz, is that you have to continue to let it breathe and let it evolve, let it be, let it explore, the different things that it can be. And that's what we try to do when we're looking for artists to perform at the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival.
Tina Betz, Cultural Affairs Director for the City of Wilmington. Thank you so much. We'll post the website. And is there any chance it'll be so crowded, people won't be able to get a place for their lawn chair?
Well, listen, not only there's green grass, there's the steps, there are the streets, there are any place that you can squeeze in. And we ask people to be really friendly, make good friends with your neighbors. And, we're not going through this whole pandemic anymore. So, just, you can have a little more intimacy. And we know that we've had packed houses for the festival in the past, and people have learned how to make new friends.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll post away and look forward to it every year.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. And thanks to Teleductions for being and doing what it is that you guys do through all of your good works. In the community.
Shucks. My great pleasure. Take care.
Thanks, Sharon. You do the same.